been vulnerable like that in a room of 24,000 people and I don't know how many millions of people watching at home.
It feels human, I think. I think being an athlete, people kind of disregard that side of us, the human side of things. And, people say so many things like, number 3 in the world and you're doing this or you're playing like this and you should be better and things like that. But like at the end of the day, like I feel like I've already, if I stopped and didn't pick up a racket tomorrow, I've had a career that so many people would dream of. But I think I just showed people what it's like to be a human, and I have bad days, but I think it's more about how you get up after those bad moments and how you show up after that. And I think today I showed that I can get up after feeling the worst I've ever felt on the court.
Karoline Leavitt is being sued for $25 million after making racist statements about Coco Gauff on live air. The remark was captured on camera, quickly went viral, and sparked a huge scandal. Coco refused to remain silent. She rejected an apology. She took this all the way to court by filing a lawsuit. Have you ever witnessed someone say something so disrespectful on live television that you knew their life was about to change irrevocably? Leave a comment with your ideas. Karoline Leavitt was on one of those late-night political broadcasts when everyone was shouting at one another and attempting to win points with controversial remarks. Sports activism and the cultural impact of young black sportsmen were the subjects of discussion. Karoline made a comment that she undoubtedly wishes she could retract now, after Coco Gauff's name was mentioned. The comment was captured on live television, not altered, not removed from context, and not unclear. Millions of people watching in real time heard it, and it was obvious that it was racial. The studio went cold. The other panelists appeared uneasy. The host's expression became expressionless, as if he was shocked by what he had just heard. However, the harm had already been done. You can't take anything back once it goes live. Social media took off in a matter of seconds. Every social media outlet, including TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, was overflowing with comment clips. Hashtags were popular right away. People were calling for responsibility, apologies, and action. Millions of people shared the video, with everyone from ordinary fans to well-known celebrities commenting. When this occurred, Coco Gauff was at home in Florida. She was not even observing the broadcast. Notifications began to flood her phone. Her team is attempting to figure out what to do. Friends are texting and family members are calling. When she did watch the video, it seemed like she did it several times in an attempt to comprehend what she was hearing. This wasn't merely impolite or disrespectful. Her identity and humanity were directly attacked by this. As she made a choice, her parents sat with her. She was not going to overlook this. She refused to move on as if nothing had happened or accept a meek apology. She intended to bring legal action. A $25 million complaint alleging civil rights violations, emotional suffering, and slander. She also intended to make this as widely known as she could. Coco gave a press conference the following day. Reporters were crammed into the room, waiting for her statement with cameras everywhere and microphones arranged in a line. She appeared composed yet resolute as she entered the room wearing a basic navy jacket. Then she revealed everything. She claimed that she was the target of racial comments aired on live television, remarks intended to minimize her identity, and she was suing Karoline Leavitt for $25 million. The reporters gasped. This was more than just a statement denouncing the comments. This was a lawsuit, costly, serious public lawsuit. Coco made it apparent that she wasn't the only one involved. It was intended to convey the idea that racism has repercussions, whether it occurs on or off camera. She simply conveyed the facts in a cool, collected manner, without raising her voice or becoming emotional. Because it demonstrated that she wasn't responding to emotion, that actually increased its impact. This choice was well considered. Karoline Leavitt's reaction was awful and came right away. She said that it was a mistake, that Coco was overreacting, and that she was being used politically. all of which are completely inappropriate statements to make when someone is accused of uttering racist remarks. It only becomes worse when you double down and say the victim is overreacting. It demonstrates that you don't know why what you said was incorrect. The broadcast network released a statement that was obviously prepared by attorneys attempting to escape responsibility. It was one of those well-crafted non-apologies that show concern without taking responsibility. They were less concerned with the real harm caused by permitting racist remarks on their platform and more concerned with advertisers walking out and possible legal repercussions. On this, the media community was divided. Karoline was justified by other media sites which said it was free speech or that people are overly sensitive these days. However, the entire sports community came out in support of Coco. The tennis greats, current players, athletes from other sports, and celebrities. Everyone was sharing encouraging messages. Coco's name became a catchphrase for media racism accountability and repercussions. However, Coco was going through a lot in private while all this was happening in public. It's difficult enough to fight in public. It's completely different to fight it while also coping with the psychological effects of being publicly assaulted because of your race. There were rumors that Coco experienced periods of uncertainty. There were times when she questioned if she was prepared for this battle and whether bringing the case was the correct choice. Her family and friends helped her get through it. It seems that during one talk, her pal told her that she didn't pick this particular moment. She had more bravery than anyone else when it came to handling the event that had chosen her. That's most likely what sustained her, being aware that this was a larger issue than just her, and that others were observing and would be motivated by her response. The litigation proceeded. Each party made its case. Karoline's defense attempted to claim that Coco was being overly sensitive, that there was a misunderstanding, and that she didn't mean it the way it sounded. But that defense isn't very strong when you have video proof of what was said, and millions of people heard it in the same way. The comment, its context, the public's quick response, and the emotional damage it caused were all submitted by Coco's legal team. They demonstrated how the comment was intended to denigrate Coco because of her color. They showed a trend of similar remarks made by Karoline in the past. The courtroom was crowded when the verdict was announced because they made the argument that this was not an isolated incident, but rather a part of a larger pattern of activity. After hours of discussion, the judge determined that Karoline Leavitt had violated civil rights and committed slander. Additionally, the network was held accountable for permitting discriminatory comments on their platform. Although the precise sum was not immediately revealed, damages were granted. Karoline Leavitt was left to deal with the fallout from believing she could make racial remarks about one of the most well-known athletes in the world without facing any consequences, after the network was ordered to implement mandatory reforms and broadcast a formal apology in prime time on Coco One. Watching this slide from a remark uttered in a matter of seconds to a month-long legal struggle that resulted in a significant verdict against her must have been an overwhelming sense of regret. It's intriguing how this case expanded beyond Coco and Karoline. It turned into a test case to see if racist comments made by public persons in media contexts may have real repercussions. For years, people have been able to move on with their jobs after speaking hurtful things on television and making flimsy apologies. That is no longer acceptable, as demonstrated by Coco's complaint. Because athletes, especially black athletes, have endured racist remarks for decades, the sports community took notice. In many respects, it has been accepted as a regular aspect of being in the public eye. However, Coco's willingness to take legal action in retaliation established a new standard. She showed that athletes don't have to put up with this kind of treatment. They can succeed by demanding accountability. In an interview after the verdict, Coco shared her viewpoint. This wasn't about winning or making money. It was about getting noticed and making sure that others are as well. She wanted others to understand that even when your voice trembles and the world tries to quiet you, it still matters. Millions of people who have experienced discrimination in their own lives found resonance in that message. Karoline's career was immediately and severely impacted. She was dropped by the network. She was not booked by other media sources. Her reputation was ruined. She moved from having a developing platform as a political analyst to being unemployed in the field, all because of a single racist remark that she believed she could get away with. Beyond the litigation, the network also had to deal with repercussions. Advertising was pulled by sponsors. The number of viewers decreased. To stop such tragedies, they had to put additional oversight and training systems into place. The entire organization had to consider how it had permitted this to occur in the first place. It took extraordinary bravery for Coco to do what she did. As one of the best tennis players in the world, she already had to manage expectations, represent businesses, cope with injuries, and focus on her training. For most people, adding a high-profile lawsuit to all of that would be devastating. However, she handled it with poise and resolve, refusing to give up under pressure. The lawsuit also brought attention to how racism in sports commentary is frequently disregarded. Commentators and analysts frequently make remarks about black athletes that they would never make about white athletes, and these remarks have become so commonplace that many are no longer even aware of them. Everyone was compelled by Coco's case to pay attention and see that this is an actual issue that requires attention. Coco's use of her platform in this manner is also worth discussing. She could have just condemned the words in a statement and moved on. That's what most athletes would have done. However, she made the decision to pursue legal action in order to compel accountability through the legal system, which conveys a far more powerful message than any social media post could. The lawsuit's $25 million sum was also noteworthy. It wasn't a small sum. It was sufficient to cause pain, to make people take it seriously, and to demonstrate that racist comments have actual financial repercussions. The message was clear whether or not she received the entire amount. It is costly to act in this manner. Karoline's attempt to defend herself by saying there was a misunderstanding was especially flimsy. You cannot argue that no one understood what you meant when you said something that millions of people instantly recognized as racist. Everyone knew exactly what was being stated and why it was incorrect, as evidenced by the collective response. The network's role in this is also crucial. The platform was supplied by them. At first, they attempted to downplay the situation and broadcast the comment. The court's decision to hold them accountable alongside Karoline established that media corporations had an obligation to stop the airing of racist information. They can't just let pundits say whatever they want and then pretend it's not their problem. It's also noteworthy that Coco returned to tennis after all of this with fresh vigor and determination. She might have been preoccupied, resentful, or exhausted from the court case. Rather, she took it as inspiration. After the ruling, each game she played felt like a declaration that racist remarks would not silence or weaken her. This case will likely have a lasting memory. It created a precedent for making media personalities answerable for their racist comments. It demonstrated that athletes have more legal options than just making public remarks. It proved that standing up, even when it's challenging and draining, can result in significant change and repercussions for those who believe they're untouchable. In response to Karoline Leavitt's racist comments against Coco Gauff on live television, Coco filed a $25 million lawsuit, which she ultimately won. Witnessing a career collapse due to a single remark must have been an agonizing moment of remorse. Click the like and subscribe buttons to read more tales about people who have to deal with the repercussions of their actions.